Arthur Sterling stood before the massive, gleaming turbine of the Phoenix 7, the engine meant to revolutionize global travel. For 3 years, it had been his obsession and his curse. As the CEO of Sterling Aerospace, he had poured $40 billion into this single project, hiring the world's most elite physicists and engineers. Yet, every time they ran a full-power simulation, the vibration harmonics tore the internal casing to shreds. The failures were becoming public, his board of directors was calling for his resignation, and the weight of thousands of jobs rested on a machine that refused to breathe. Arthur hadn't slept in 48 hours. He dismissed his team of exhausted PhDs for the night, leaving himself alone in the silent, cathedral-like hangar. He sat on a grease-stained crate, head in his hands, staring at a billion-dollar hunk of metal that was essentially a paperweight. The silence of the hangar was suddenly broken by the heavy, rhythmic clanking of the bay's side door. A woman walked in. She was draped in layers of oversized, weathered coats, her hair a messy silver nest under a wool cap. She pushed a rusted grocery cart filled with aluminum cans and scrap metal. Security was supposed to be airtight, but she moved with a strange, quiet confidence, as if she belonged among the giants of industry. Arthur was too tired to yell. He simply watched as she stopped in front of the Phoenix 7, tilting her head like an art critic. "She's choking," the woman said, her voice raspy but clear. Arthur looked up, startled. "Excuse me? This is a restricted area. How did you get past the gate?" "The gate was locked, but the air vent by the loading dock has a loose grating," she replied, not looking at him. She walked closer to the engine, reaching out a grime-streaked hand to touch the cold titanium. "You've built a masterpiece, but you're treating it like a math problem. Engines aren't math. They're lungs. And right now, yours has a pebble in its throat." Arthur let out a hollow laugh. "A pebble? We've run 10,000 simulations. We've redesigned the fuel injectors 6 times. The vibrations are a result of complex fluid dynamics beyond standard physics." The woman finally looked at him. Her eyes were piercingly blue, filled with a depth of experience that made Arthur's Harvard degree feel like a kindergarten diploma. "You spent billions looking at the fire. You didn't spend a second looking at the wind." She reached into her cart, pulled out a small, bent copper wire she had found in a junkyard, and pointed to a tiny, almost invisible bypass valve near the secondary intake. "The pressure builds here. It doesn't need a redesign. It needs a relief." Arthur stood up, his skepticism warring with a strange sense of hope. "Who are you?" "My name is Elena," she said softly. "I used to build these before the world decided I was too old and the restructuring decided I was too expensive. Now, I just listen to the city. Everything has a rhythm, Arthur. Even a broken heart. Even a broken engine." Over the next 5 hours, the CEO and the homeless woman worked side by side. Arthur didn't call security, he called for his toolbox. Following Elena's instructions, they didn't replace the expensive alloy parts. Instead, they manually adjusted the tension on a series of minor stabilization fins, a fix so simple it had been overlooked by every computer model because the models assumed the parts were perfect. Elena showed him how to tune the metal by ear, tapping the casing and listening for the resonance. As the sun began to peek through the high hangar windows, it was time for the test. Arthur's hands trembled as he entered the command code. The Phoenix 7 roared to life. Usually, the screaming vibration would start at 40% power. They hit 40%. Then 60%. At 100%, the engine didn't shake, it hummed, a pure, melodic note of perfect engineering. Arthur turned to thank her, tears of relief blurring his vision, but Elena was already heading back toward the side door, pushing her cart of cans. "Wait!" Arthur shouted. "I can give you everything. A job, a home, a percentage of the company. You saved us." Elena paused at the door, the morning light framing her silhouette. "I didn't do it for the money, Arthur. I did it because I couldn't stand to hear something so beautiful stay silent. Use the billions you saved to look at the people you're restructuring left behind. There's a lot of genius living in cardboard boxes." Arthur Sterling didn't just fix the engine that day, he fixed his soul. He launched the Elena initiative, a program that sought out skilled workers who had fallen through the cracks of society, providing them with homes and high-level positions within his company. He learned that the most expensive solution is rarely the right one, and that the greatest wisdom often comes from those the world has taught us to ignore. The Phoenix 7 took flight a month later, but the real victory was the thousands of lives reclaimed from the silence, proving that no one is truly scrap if someone is willing to listen to their rhythm.